One of mankind's biggest questions is, are we alone in this universe? We have always been very curious. So could there be some form of life out there? Starting closer to home, could there be life on Mars? It is a challenge that will not go away. This is the story of Beagle 2 and its attempt to find life on Mars. Beagle 2 was designed to detect water, methane and organics on the surface of Mars. That is, to detect the possibility of life there. 3 years later, in 1999, ESA finally made the decision for a satellite mission to Mars, to get there in 2003. It was to be called Mars Express. Mars was closest to the Earth for 60,000 years.
If something goes missing without a trace, it's usually pretty difficult to find. Now, put that thing on Mars, and well, it becomes virtually impossible.
Just imagine how you'd feel. Adrift for days on a crippled yacht. The horizon is empty. Others have perished under such circumstances. Will this be your fate also? I give a talk on satellites, and to impress the ladies, I call myself a rocket scientist. My daughter Jo has said, "Stop being big-headed, Dad." So, now I just call myself a brain surgeon and a rocket scientist. Our story begins with an American who chartered a yacht in New Orleans to sail to Barbados. He was going to impress his new wife, who was waiting there. He sailed across the Gulf of Mexico and into the Caribbean Sea. There, a storm blew up and broke the mast. He could not get the engine to start. He was desperate, dazed, and started to hallucinate. He was in the middle of nowhere, nothing to be seen. His life was at risk. My mother had written a book. This is her story of her life and my parents' escape from Burma ahead of the invading Japanese in 1942. In the story, the Grim Reaper called on them several times. Would they survive with such odds stacked against them? The Japanese had invaded Burma, coming up to the north from the south. Sylvia and Pat had 1 day's notice to get away. Hurriedly they packed what they could. Sylvia buried some of her paintings under the floorboards. Pat commandeered a truck and set off north with their car. Sylvia left in the shorts and tops she'd worn for several days, and nothing else. No handbag, no money, and no husband. She had lost everything, but not her life. The very next flight to Michina was shot up by the Japanese, killing all on board. For the second time, the Grim Reaper had called on Sylvia, but failed to collect. Just imagine, you are our customer, and you want a spacecraft. But what kind of spacecraft? A scientific spacecraft? A military satellite? An interplanetary spacecraft? No, you want a commercial spacecraft. You want to provide television coverage across the world. Now, our space team has made your satellite, and here it is. Your investment is huge, some $250 million, of which $150 million is for the satellite and $100 million for the launcher. It's a risky venture. Will your investment make you money? It's a gamble on the future. The time has come to put your satellite into orbit, to make it work for you out there, to leave the Earth, to go beyond our atmosphere, out into space. Come and join me on a special mission. We are going to go out of this world.